Greetings, YouTube. I'm going to be linking to an article from last month, though there are links in the discussion below the article notes that are relevant to this month. A particular section at the bottom, which I think I may be linking to myself because it's got some very pertinent information. There was a high school. There's a lot to unpack here, so give me a second. The George Washington High School. There's a certain bit of beauty about that. Had hired a evangelical abstinence-only speaker, one Pam Stencil. Now, the student body vice president, Caitlin Campbell, felt that Miss Stencil was essentially spewing disinformation, complete untruths about sexuality that were going to just mess students up. So she protested. And when she protested, the principal, or I perchance should call him unprincipal, George Allenbacher, retaliated against a student, threatening to report Caitlin to the college she had been admitted to as a student of bad character. So, an adult school administrator attempted to use his position of authority over a student, which was going to be ending shortly because she'd already been accepted to college, in an effort to ruin her educational future. Besides being morally reprehensible and unethical, Principal Allenbacher is apparently not well informed, because the college that Miss Campbell had been accepted to was Wellesley. Now, Wellesley is just shy of one of the most progressive colleges in the United States. I actually don't know of many more that are more progressive than Wellesley. And Wesley's response to this particular event, when it finally came to light, was, "Wellesley is excited to welcome you this fall," sending a tweet directly to Miss Campbell. So the principal failed miserably in his attempt to intimidate a student and ruin their future educational aspirations. Now, this is horrible, and this man has absolutely no right to be teaching, to be involved in any form of education. He should be drummed out of the entire educational system and banned from ever being in it again, at least on public dollars. Some school would like to hire him in a private manner. Feel free. But he has no right or purpose in the real world of public education. He just doesn't. Now, for me, what's the most horrifying aspect of this entire story isn't just that he abused his position of authority, that he threatened to ruin the educational aspirations of a student. He failed. But he failed this time. How many times has he done this in the past? How many students has he cowed? How many students has he made knuckle under to his will simply because he feels that it's appropriate? Now, he was involved in hiring an abstinence-only educator, which is in itself an example of this man's completely and utter failure as an administrator. Abstinence only doesn't work. It spreads STI, sexually transmitted infections, and increases unwanted pregnancy rates. Not to mention, it makes people feel guilty, because abstinence only tells them that unless they behave in this particular manner, right here, in this little box, that you are lost, that you are worthless, that you are going to be shunned by society. But that isn't sexuality. Sexuality isn't in this box. Sexuality is open. It's a spectrum. From purely heterosexual to purely homosexual to people that want monogamous, purely monogamous relationships, and people that want nothing at all or want to be in polyamorous relationships. And there are people that have wants and desires that fill the entire spectrum of human history and sexual possibilities. Abstinence only is an abomination. It has ruined lives. And you're thinking, oh, no. Tetsubo. That's hyperbole. You're exaggerating. It hasn't ruined lives at all. Yes, it has. I'm going to link to an article about Elizabeth Smart. Now, some of you may remember her. She was kidnapped at age 14 and held in captivity for 9 months. And in that 9-month period, she was raped every single day. For 9 months. Outside of the Korean comfort houses during World War II, I don't know many cases where someone was abused that consistently and that thoroughly over a time period. Read The Rape of Nanking if you want to be truly disturbed in that particular venue. And there were times during Miss Smart's captivity where she was out in public with her captor. And people asked her, well, why didn't you just run away? You were in public. Just run. And she said, because she didn't think that anyone would want her. Because she had been taught, from the Mormon perspective, that abstinence only was the only way to go. That if she had more than one partner, she was worthless. She would be shunned. That she was the least worthy individual there is in the world. So abstinence-only education convinced someone, a 14-year-old, that if she stepped outside this box, even against her will, in a non-consenting situation, even if she stepped outside that box because she was raped, it was over. She was done. She was worthless. I don't want anyone ever to tell me that abstinence only is a proper educational process, because it isn't. It's horrible. It hurts people. And the ancillary individuals involved are willing to threaten students that step up and say, it's wrong. We need an actual sex education system. And it emotionally and mentally cripples people and puts them into a position where they think they have to stay in a kidnapping situation because their social circle, their family, won't want them back. So these programs are doing material harm to our nation and to its citizens. And we need to do away with them, and we need to do away with anyone that supports them. This is flat out no different than what the Taliban has done. This is the American Taliban telling our students that if you don't live here, you are worthless, that you are beneath contempt, that you will be hounded and you will be ostracized. And that is disturbing, and that is angering. And we need to do something about it. We need principals that support it to be shunned and fired. We need speakers that discuss this and spread these untruths, marginalized until they are never hired again. And we need to make sure that our children in this nation receive an education that teaches them that they can express themselves in a consensual relationship any way they want. That so long as they're healthy, so long as they're making an informed consent, that we will love them and accept them, and we will not judge them. Until we achieve that, we are failing our children. We can do better. We can give them an actual sex education. We can drive down the chances of STIs and unwanted pregnancies. We can make sure people have the best shot possible at being happy. And isn't coming out of an educational process supposed to be about enlightenment? About possibilities? About seeing horizons that you didn't before? Doesn't that sound like a much better model